Hello, love. This is Eve Kristoff, your love life coach. Welcome to Eve's Eden. Welcome home. Hey, so you're wondering, are you sex addicted? Well, here's how you can know whether you're sex addicted or you're just really sexual. Okay, so I had a friend who was a top model in New York City, and he was one of those people who just had access to all of this sexual energy, and he had this look and this trustworthy demeanor, and he was super sexual. And so he was getting laid like every day. Sometimes one day it was even 5 times in one day. And he, used to pray. He would pray, please, God, give me one day, 1 hour where I stop thinking about sex. I want to think about other things. I want to develop myself. I want to become a deeper person. And he just couldn't get free of his constant sexual fixation. So he did get married to a sexual woman, and then things changed, but not that much. He was a very sexual person. Now, I'm very influenced by the book Sex at Dawn, the prehistoric origins of modern sexuality by, she's Casilda Jetha and Christopher Ryan. So they have this amazing documentation of our origins, basically very, very connected to bonobo monkeys, much more so than chimps being violent, but bonobo monkeys being super sexual, like they solve everything with sex. They are constantly fooling around. They are matriarchal, actually, and so what if you are simply very healthy? What if having a really high libido is actually a sign of being more connected to your prehistoric health and joy and ability to have more fun? It could be. So here's another story. I knew a person who was basically a man slut. He loved to be with lots of women often, and he was doing it in a pretty upstanding way, letting people know that he wasn't going to be able to be in a full-on relationship, on the up and up with STDs, and emotionally staying heart-connected, not just discarding people, but staying connected. But one thing that was going on for him was a feeling of emptiness at times. Like, no matter how many people he connected with, he would still have this empty feeling, and oh gosh, then he'd be like hungry for more, hungry for another one, each conquest needing to go to the next level, and he wasn't actually fully skilled in pleasuring the feminine. He was more focused on this hunger of his own. I know, and somebody else who was what I call a daka. It's like the word dakini is like a goddess, and daka like is a god. He was a sexual pleasurer of many women. I've spoken about him before. He had about 23 women on the circuit of connection that he was helping all these women to thrive. But his experience was extremely fulfilling, and his focus was on giving, like how much pleasure could he bring because of his attention on women. And every time he gave attention, he was building the woman's sense of self-love and her experience into new realms of pleasure, and he was filling up. Every time he had another encounter with a woman, he'd find himself even more filled with love and filled with, just like overflowing with joy. And so it was sort of more like this was his natural way of being. This was his natural gift to the world. And if that's the case for you, then why would you want to judge yourself? If the question is your activity in this sexual play with numerous people? Is it bringing you joy? Is it bringing you health? Is it bringing other people joy? Is it helping the women to find more bliss because of you? Then you know that you're just like a sexy bonobo monkey. You really are in touch with your wild roots. On the other hand, if you find yourself hungrier than ever, on to the next, hurting people, treating people like they are discardable, and diminutizing, like putting women down so that you can have your excuse to discard to get to the next one, that's the sign of an addiction that's probably related to some really, really large syndrome that you need to face with healers, with therapists, and people who can help you face. Be honest. No judgment. Be honest. Most people have something that is the place where they're growing inside themselves. But I want to say to you, maybe you're judging yourself for what is actually health. Maybe. If you find yourself in total delight and a path that is very, very connected to many, bonobo monkey style would say, pleasure is the way, pleasure is the path, and if you're including the heart's pleasure and the mind's pleasure and connection that's honest and clear, then there's no reason to call it addiction as much as delight. Okay, love. Much love to you, many blessings. But do remember that if it's causing you unhappiness, like my friend the model, and you can't think of anything else, and you feel trapped, that would be addiction, and that would be also possibly being having soul possession, having some other entity working through you, so that the moment that you're being intimate with somebody, I had this experience with somebody, the moment he would start being really intimate, he would go blank. His eyes would become like a zombie eyes, and it was terrifying. I would realize his soul would leave the moment that he would be receiving spiritual essence from me that would rejuvenate him. For a long time he couldn't receive that because this other entity would enter him and steal my energy I was giving, and it would go nowhere. It wouldn't go into him. So that can be healed with shamanic intervention. So I recommend, if you're having any kind of addiction issues, go to the shamans, go to the old healers. There's some wonderful shamans. I know of Elliot Cowan, Claire Pearson, David Wiley. There's other Native American healers, medicine people. In every culture, they address the soul and the spirit, and that's a very deep wounding. When you are sexually addicted, it's usually not just in the mind. The wound, where that comes from, is in your spirit. So heal the spirit, heal the body, and don't judge yourself either. There's nothing to say that you can't love a life that is very erotically delight-filled. Okay, but spread the love, spread your gift, okay? Spread love. Much love, love light, darling. Okay. Mwah.